Here we are. We're back. We're live. It is with the one and only Joe Rosen, and we are back with the Agents Academy, buddy. Feels good to be back in the saddle. We took a little bit of a hiatus. We were working on some other things, but it's nice to be back and bringing value to the community. So you're going to kick it off here today with time blocking, and it's something that you and I actually have a little bit of an accountability text at the end of each night. You DM me a photo of your schedule for the next day, and you've been telling me great things about that. I'm excited to kind of hear how you deliver it to the group. For me, it's been something, living by my calendar rather than my emotions is something that's made a big difference over the last couple of years for me. And I have seen other agents that are on my team and so forth, it make a big difference. You're going to get super granular with it. You're going to go deep dive as you always do, add massive value. So I'll let you take it away, man. Talk to us about time blocking to $100,000.
Thank you, sir. So getting into time blocking, we're going to focus on how we take your current business and get you to $100,000 a year, right? So what is it that you need to do? What needs to be in your schedule? What little disciplines can you implement that will get you to $100,000 a year, right? Now, if you're at $100,000, you want to get to $200,000. A lot of the same stuff applies, but I'm telling you, to get to that first $100,000, I wouldn't say you can't do it without time blocking, but man, it's going to be challenging. And if you do the time blocking, I would almost say it'd be challenging not to hit $100,000, right? Time blocking is incredibly important. I get agents all the time that ask me, what one or two things, Joe, should I be doing if I want to be successful? Give me some tips, some recommendations. And I always say the same three things. There are three things that I absolutely think every real estate business needs to be built on, right? Based on. And then all of your little intricacies that kind of fit with your personal personality can be added to those three. But you got to have the three, right? So number one is you've got to prospect. You've got to have some sort of prospecting, whether it's cold calling, door knocking, paid leads, open houses, expireds, FSBOs, networking groups. There's a million things you can do, but you've got to have something coming in, filling the funnel, right? It's the fuel for your car. I always say you could be the best agent, the best negotiator, the smartest, the most experienced, but if you're not doing prospecting, you're not putting any gas in your Mercedes-Benz. You got the best car in the lot, but it's not going anywhere because you're not filling it with any gas, right? So you've got to get some prospects in that funnel. The second thing is follow-up, right? Once you got them at the top of the funnel, how do you keep them moving down to where eventually they're going to close on a transaction with you? You've got to nurture them. And I know we like to talk about the sales process and everything else, but really it's just building stronger relationships. That's all it is. First time you meet them, maybe it's a little bit of a cold call or a cold interaction. Then you talk with them again, you build up a little bit of rapport. By the third time you talk to them, they're calling you Joe, buddy, pal, whatever. I got a guy right now looking at $800,000 homes. He's calling me bro. He's 62 years old. So you're going to build rapport with these guys after you've started talking with them multiple times, right? So you've got to prospect. You've got to have follow-up. What's that third thing? And that third thing is time blocking, right? You've got to time block. There's a big difference, even within myself. And I want to go back to something Alex talked about because it's a really cool accountability tool that anybody can use, and it's going to have a great impact on your business. I stole what him and I do between the two of us, and I started implementing it with a few of the folks on my team, and it is working well for them also. So I'll share that in just a second too. But with time blocking, you can have, like I said, you can be the best realtor with the best intent, the hardest working, all the skills in the world, whatever. But it's kind of like budgeting your time, or budgeting your time is kind of like budgeting your money, right? If I give you whatever your paycheck is, let's say you're making 10 grand a month, and between your mortgage and your bills and your auto loan and your credit cards, whatever you got, let's say all that is $7,000. 10 minus 7 is 3. You got $3,000 left over. If I take a group of 100 people who do not budget, and I take another group of people who do budget, that group who does budget is going to look intricately at exactly where every penny of that extra $3,000 is going to go, right? So 3,000 times 12 months is $36,000. At the end of the year, they're going to have done some fruitful things with that 36 grand. Are they going to blow it on Netflix and Starbucks coffees and lunches? Yes, just like the group that doesn't have a budget. They're going to do a lot of the same stuff. But they're going to have small little habits that they've mentally, and now because they have a budget, physically committed to, which is maybe putting money into an IRA, maybe putting money into a 401k, maybe putting money into Bitcoin or whatever it is. Maybe you put it into an account where you can, in the future, right? We're all in real estate. In the future, you can invest in real estate. That's a big thing too. So really, my point is, at the end of the year, when you look at those two groups, the group that had a budget for their money and the group that didn't, even though all other things are the same, they both made the same 10 grand a month. They both had $7,000 in must expenses. That $3,000 extra each month grew to something extremely profitable, useful, helpful for the group with a budget, on average more often than the group that didn't. That's it. That's it. It keeps you focused. It tells you where your goals were when you were thinking logically, right? Because how many times do you get a check and you're running 1,000,000 miles an hour? If you're an agent and you're doing any type of business, you are running 1,000,000 miles an hour. You might not be making the best decision with your money. But if when you were calm, cool, and collected and you blocked off a little bit of time to think about it, you said, you know what? I want to do A, B, C, and D with my money. Then when you get the check, you don't even think. You pay your 7,000 in bills, you take the 3 grand and you say, I'm going to put money towards retirement. I'm going to put money towards savings. I'm going to put money towards my kids' schooling, and I'm going to put money into a real estate investment fund for the future. And I've got $800 left over to blow on whatever. Who cares what it is? Now 2,200 of that 3 grand is going somewhere specific. Are you still investing some money in just having a good time and enjoying life? Yes. But now you're building something that's going to be an asset for your future. It's going to be helpful for your future, right? So, Russ, let's go, baby. Let's get it. So I think it's really important. There's no difference between budgeting your money and budgeting your time. It's a resource that you're given, and time, honestly, is a more important resource than money. You can go out and you can get as much money as you want if you work hard enough. You cannot get any more time. The amount of time that you have is the amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 1,440 minutes in a day. That's it. When it's over, it's done. You cannot get more. So to prioritize what you want that day to look like, and then to proactively, that's going to be a big word in this session, proactively, not reactively, decide what you want to do with that time is huge. Now you own your time. Just like with budgeting with money, you own your money. You decide where your money is going to go. What is it going to do for you? What is it going to produce? And I would say this, would anybody listening to this right now think that in 1 month, you're going to have enough money to build out all of the things you want to do and just be like, I'm set. I'm good now. Money's good because I did it once. No, you're going to take a small step, and it's really not going to have a huge impact at first, right? But after 6 months, 12 months, 6 years, 12 years, 30 years, now you've built up enough money to have a nest egg that you can live on for the rest of your life. That's huge. That's huge. And very similarly, you're going to find the same things in real estate and time blocking. Okay. So going back to what Alex had mentioned in the beginning, he said, we've got this accountability thing that he and I do. Here was the problem. The problem was Joe knew. I see it. When I've got my day time blocked for tomorrow, I'm very successful. I'm very productive. When I don't time block tomorrow and I just wake up and I'm like, well, I got a noon and I got a 3 o'clock. I go to my noon and I go to my 3 o'clock, but all that great time in the middle just gets lost. And sure, I do some productive things. But when you look at the percentage of productive things versus the percentage of things that ain't so productive, the ain't so productive part gets bigger. If I budget my time, if I time block, I'm going to find that I'm still going to work in a lunch. I'm still going to work in a gym. I'm still going to work in family time and personal time and sleep time and all those great things. I'm still going to get it. But that percentage shrinks because I'm controlling it. I'm paying attention. So now I'm not losing my mind in Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is you do. You're not losing your time in that. You're saying, I get 15 minutes to goof around on Facebook or whatever it is you do with your time. Now, instead of letting that 15 minutes roll into 2.5 hours until your 3 o'clock appointment, you give yourself 15 minutes and you spend the other 2 hours and 15 minutes doing something fruitful, right? Maybe you're prospecting, maybe you're planning tomorrow's day, maybe you're looking over your why or your goals, or you're talking with your accountability buddy, whatever it is, right? I know this is true. I've seen it for myself. So I said, Alex, I'm only filling out my schedule for the next day, maybe 50% of the time. It frustrates me. And we brought this up. We meet every single Wednesday for 30 minutes. The first 15 minutes, we talk about my goals. He gives me feedback. He gives me critique so I can improve. And then the next 15 minutes, we do it with him and we look at what he's doing. What were his goals? How do we help him improve? And he saw that week after week after week, I was bringing up the same problem. He said, Joe, do you want to take real accountability, or do you just want to keep complaining about it every week? And I said, no, man, let's go. I want to go to that next level. I want the real accountability. How do we do it? And he said, if you really want to do it, you got to make it a little bit painful if you don't do it. You know you're more productive if you do it, and you know you're less productive if you don't do it, but it's not painful enough in the moment. You don't feel it. Is it painful over time? Are you selling less homes? Are you less successful? Are you giving your team as much as you otherwise could have? I'm not as successful. I'm not giving my team as much as I could have if I don't time block. But he's right. I don't feel it on a day-to-day basis. So how do we make it feel? You feel it by adding the pain, and the pain for this one is I give $100 to his favorite charity every time I don't get him my schedule for tomorrow before today ends. That's it. And I can't tell you how many times it's worked. There have been nights where I've sat right out there on the couch and I've been sitting next to my wife, and it's 9:45. I go to bed at about 10:30. And I'm sitting there goofing around Facebook, having a good time, whatever it is. And all of a sudden I'm like, I want to go to bed soon, but I can't because I owe Alex my schedule. And really, while I owe him my schedule, I honestly owe myself my schedule. I owe my team my schedule. I owe my business. I owe my clients. I owe the clients I haven't even met yet my schedule, because I'm going to accomplish so much more and I'm going to be so much more helpful if I've got it. So that's a little trick that Alex and I have implemented, right? So getting into time blocking, right? We've already talked about the fact that it's budgeting of your time. So now let's look at how one guy does it. I do not want this to necessarily be the be-all, end-all blueprint that you have to use, but I want you to look at it and steal the parts that really resonate with you, the good parts, right? And I want you to look at it and say, I like this and this and this. I don't so much like that one, but I like this and that. No, and I don't like that one either. Take what you like, implement it, and I'm telling you, if you do 20% of what I'm about to suggest, you will see an incredible improvement in your productivity and efficiency from here on out with your business. I promise you. I promise you. In fact, I would argue, prove me wrong if you don't believe me. Look at your last 90 days worth of stats, do this for 90 days, and show me that your stats have gone nowhere or down. That would be the proof. I don't think we're going to see that. You're going to see the opposite. You're going to see a doubling, a tripling of the numbers. It's not a small change. It is a massive change, and it literally takes you 5 or 10 minutes a day. So I'm going to do a share screen, and I want you to see what it's called a 4-box schedule looks like, okay? And this 4-box schedule, here it is. You can see we've got this top left box right up here called schedule. Right over here on weekly goals is the top right box. And then when you come down, the bottom left box is called follow-up list. And this bottom right box is called rocks. So we'll talk about that a little bit, right? So let's break it down by box. And I really do think it all starts with this top right box, right? You should, in my opinion, every year sit down in December. And you should take probably an entire business and break down what your goals look like for the year, right? How many calls do I want to make? How many doors do I want to knock on? How many open houses do I want to hold? How many networking events am I going to go to? How many events am I going to throw? What am I going to do? What is the plan, the specific plan to get me from point A to point B throughout the next 365 days? What's it going to look like, right? And now you build your objective plan. Stuff to do and timelines attached to each thing. And it is black and white. Anybody who has nothing to do with real estate could come in and say you either made your goal or you didn't make your goal. So it's not, okay, here's a great example. I just met with an agent yesterday. I told him about prospecting, follow-up, and time blocking. I said, okay, let's talk about prospecting. What does your prospecting plan look like for the next 90 days? His response was, well, my cousin's really interested in purchasing a property, so I'm probably going to get that under contract. And I know he's introducing me to a friend of his from work, so I've got a possibility there. And I stopped him. I said, listen, man, that is not a prospecting plan. Those are hopes and dreams. Those are referrals. Maybe you'll get them, maybe you won't. But every time I see somebody who says, and they say it proudly, my business is referral based. If your business is referral based, and it's referral based because people call you and give you referrals, that means the second that spigot is shut off, your business is done. You don't control it anymore. And it's never going to shut off or, come on full blast. It's going to go up and down, right? But you don't control it, is the main point. Now, if you're saying, hey, I got a referral business, but it's because I call 20 people in my sphere every single day and I ask for referrals. Okay, that's a little bit different. Now you're being proactive about it. But if you're just sitting back and you're telling me I'm so popular that people call me out of the blue and that's my business plan, I think that is a business plan that cannot be reproduced. And if it can't be reproduced, I don't think it's a very strong plan. I want a plan that I can tweak. If I'm not getting enough business, I want to crank it up, right, to get more business. If I'm getting so much business that I'm spending more time on prospecting than I need to because I can't keep up with the leads that I'm getting from it, I need to crank it down. But when I've got it objectively written out, I can crank it up and down at will. If I'm just saying I'm so popular, I'm getting referrals coming in, and that sucker goes down, I don't have any proactive thing I can crank up, right? So you've got your goals, you've got your plan, and it's all objective. What's an objective goal look like? It's black and white, right? There's a specific number, and it's got a deadline. That's it. So you might say, I'm going to make 75 phone calls a day times 5 days a week times 52 weeks. Awesome. You can do the math on that and you can figure out exactly how many phone calls that's going to be. You can say, I'm going to hold 2 open houses every weekend for 52 weeks. That is, man, I got to do math, 104 open houses. If you did 103, you didn't meet your goal. If you did 104 or more, you met your goal, right? It's black and white. Anybody can see what it is. So once you build out those annual goals, you can come in here into this top right box, weekly goals, and you break it down for the week. And this is essentially your checklist. This is you as you're creating this schedule. And I will go in depth over here, but you can see what it is. It's a schedule, right? So this is probably the easiest one to understand over here on the top left. But you can look at all of these things that you want to accomplish throughout the week. You might not be able to accomplish all of them on Monday. In fact, if you've got a strong plan, there's no way you're going to accomplish them on Monday. You're going to need the week to accomplish a strong set of goals. So really, while you're building this week, and remember in the beginning, I said maybe you've got a noon appointment, you got a 3 o'clock appointment. The question is, what are you doing with all the gray time? Everybody goes to their noon appointment. Everybody's going to go to their 3 o'clock appointment. What are you doing with all the gray time in between? That's the big question. This right here is your checklist aligned with your goals, right? Your 12-month goals. You break them down, divided by 52. Round them all up because you want to be aggressive, and boom, there's your checklist for the week. It's pretty awesome, pretty helpful. And it's at the top, so you are focused on it. You're focused on it. So now over here, I'm going to have my 12 o'clock appointment. I'm going to have my 3 o'clock appointment. I've got all this great time in between, before and after. I'm going to fill that great time with these tasks right up here in my goals section. Bada bing, bada boom. Now I'm hitting my goals. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? How often do we create goals? We write them out. We throw it in the bottom drawer of our desk. We come back in December of next year to create our goals. We pull out last year's goals and we say, wow, I forgot that I was going to try to accomplish this. I forgot that I was going after that. Man, I only did 30% of this goal. If it's not in front of your face, I almost guarantee you're going to fall short. And the opposite's true. If it's in front of your face every single day and you force it there, whether you're successful every single day or not, over the long term, you're almost always going to be successful in hitting those goals. Any agent I have who puts it in front of their face every single day, whether they're feeling motivated or not, whether they're feeling inspired or not, they're going to reach their goals at a much greater rate than somebody who doesn't, period, right? It's psychology. It's simple. So you've got your goals written out here in the top right section. Now, we're going to come over here to schedule, and we've got things that I know I want to do, right? And this right here is honestly just a BS schedule. There are things that I would put in here. So I want to talk right now about, and I've got a little list here in front of me, some of the things that I would highly recommend you put in your schedule, okay? And I would start by putting these things on first. So let's just delete this. Let's start a day. Number one, I think it's really important that you have a bedtime and a wake-up time, and it should be the same every day. We track points on my team. If you go to bed at the same time every single day, you get 200 points. You wake up at the same time every day, you get 200 points. Why do I do that? Because I know how important it is to have consistency with a sleep schedule. And it's not just the sleep schedule, it's consistency with anything. Anything you're going to commit to, do a little bit every single day, create a habit, stay with a habit, and you will find success over the long run, right? And it's easy to do little things on a daily basis. So for me, I wake up at 5:30 every single day, and I go to bed between 10 and 10:30 every single night. If I go to bed at 10:31, I don't get the points. If I hit my snooze button, which in the morning I literally don't think I've ever done, I lose the points, right? So knowing that I wake up, I'm going to go 5:30, wake up. And I'm going to write down all the things that are just kind of fluff, right? Things that really don't apply to my business. I call it Joe time. I give myself 90 minutes to wake up, work out, and your basic hygiene. I have no idea how to spell hygiene. Let's pretend that's how you spell it. I don't know how to spell it. So I'm waking up, I got workout, and I got hygiene. Now, I'm going to share something with you that I've done because it might be something that helps you. And it doesn't have to be the same thing, but it can be something like this. I found that a lot of my appointments started at 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock. Well, I didn't want to wait till 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock to get moving. And I found that if I didn't have something scheduled, I would sit there and drink coffee. I'd goof around on Facebook. I'd do whatever, but I wasn't doing the things I wanted to do. So how do I do the things I want to do? I'm going to create a doggone appointment, right? So I created something called the 7-Eleven Accountability Group, okay? And I'm going to back that up, 7 o'clock. And then I'm going to write here, 7-Eleven Accountability Group, okay? And it's on Facebook, and I come on every Monday through Friday live with something, some little tip, some little recommendation, insight, mentality, whatever it is, to get you ahead of the game for the day, something to focus on, right, to make you better. And a lot of people will say, Joe, I appreciate you doing this. Thanks for sharing this. It's helpful. This has helped me with this. You've helped me with that, whatever it is. But really, while that feels awesome, and I want to continue to do that for people, that appointment's there for me. It's to get me to say, hey, by 7 o'clock, I need to start preparing for this video. So I better be done with breakfast. I better be done with my workout. I better be done taking a shower and shaving. And I better be on my laptop working on it because I have an appointment with myself. So if it's at 7-Eleven, 11 minutes is about enough to take care of it. So I show up at 7 o'clock, I start working on it, and boom, I'm there. Now, when I get off, it's about 7:20, right? Which means I'm not going to waste any time. 7:20, what am I doing? I'm done at 7:20. And now I'm moving into my day. I've got the mentality of moving into my day. And oh, by the way, I forced myself to know enough about a topic to share it with an audience. I've got to be pretty good at that, right? That doesn't just happen. So it forces me to be sharper and sharpen my skills constantly. So now it's 7:20. What am I going to do at 7:20? Well, let's just say that this deal on the right side here is our goals. These are the things we want to accomplish. So I know I want to get some follow-up boss calls done. Those are my follow-up calls. Well, I'm not going to make follow-up calls at 7:20. So let's keep going. 2 Facebook posts a day. All right, cool. Let's do a Facebook post. And the next one is an IG post, Instagram, right? So boom, let's get that done, right? Both of those at 10 minutes each takes me to 7:40. So now what are we doing at 7:40, right? Okay, I got to do 2+ YouTube videos. This should say a week. Holy smokes. A day. So let's get a YouTube video in, right? Now, a YouTube video is going to take me a little bit longer because that's got some editing and everything else. That might take me 45 minutes. So let's just say that brings us out to 8:25. Now at 8:25, I can start making calls. So let's get those follow-up boss calls, right? So I'm going to say 10+ because it's okay to go over. It's not okay to go under. Calls. And I know that to get 10 done, I probably want to give myself a good hour, right? Because sometimes you're going to call and somebody wants to get set up on an automated search in the MLS, or somebody wants you to dig into some numbers for a 37-foot RV, or somebody whatever it is they want, right? You want to be the person who adds value. So while I'm making those calls and I'm finding out people's hurdles to get into the next step, I want to solve those hurdles. So I'm going to make sure I give myself plenty of time to reach my goal. And I know that an hour is going to help me hit my goal probably 90% of the time. Okay. Now, what we're going to add to this is prospecting. I think you need 1 to 3 hours of prospecting. If you're a brand new agent or you're not anywhere near your goals, I think 3 hours is where you should be every single day. 3 hours will fill your day, right? Now, again, there's a million types of prospecting. We've talked about a lot of them on here before. So I'm not going to get into that personally. I love cold calling. I think it's the best, most efficient way. And I do think a lot of people don't like cold calling, but I'm telling you, statistically, good luck competing with someone who can make 423 calls in 3 hours. How are you going to get in front of that many people in any other way? It's challenging, right? So that's enough of a pitch on that, but I love cold calling. So let's just say, and I don't call it cold calling. We got a specific thing that we do. So we call it circle prospecting, right? So let's say that we are going to do that. Now, I've been in for a little bit longer, so maybe I'm only going to do that for 2 hours because I got a lot of other things I got to do. So that means at 11:25, I'm going to put on here what's called follow-up or reactive time. I like this for a lot of reasons, okay? So I like a little 45-minute session before lunch, and I like a little 30 to 45-minute session after lunch. And what this is if you've texted, called, emailed, DM'd, smoke signaled me in the morning, I have not yet gotten in touch with you, right? Because I was working on my social media. I was working on my YouTube. I was working on my follow-up calls. I was working on circle prospecting. So I was not picking up the phone. That's a big thing that a lot of agents do not do. If you call most agents, they're going to pick up, right? They're going to react to whatever was sent to them. You email them, you text them, you Facebook them. They're going to react right now. And what that does is that says, as a business owner, I'm going to let everybody else dictate how my day goes. You call me, you email, you text me, I'm going to get right back to you right away. Now, it sounds really good, except if you're doing that and I'm your seller, yeah, I appreciate the really good service, except that means you're not proactively going out and looking for buyers for my house. That's a big deal to me. So as part of my listing presentation, I talk about time blocking. And I say there are professionals and there are non-professionals. And professionals own their time. They are proactive with their time. They are not reactive with their time. And you as a seller want somebody who's proactive with their time. It means I'm going out getting buyers for your listing while that other person is reacting to everybody else's requests, right? Own your time. Own your time. Make it important. If you make it important, it'll be important. If you don't make it important, well, I'll let you finish that one. So we're going to have 45 minutes of follow-up or reactive time. Now, again, a lot of people say this is so restrictive, Joe. I don't know if I can commit to all of this. It feels like I'm in a jail cell. Cool, let's have lunch. I'm going to time block lunch, right? Doesn't say I'm doing anything else. I'm just goofing around, man. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. Maybe I'm watching Netflix. I don't know what I'm doing. It's my lunch. So I'm going to take a 30-minute lunch. Cool, I'm done. Now, let's get back to our day. Let's say we got a 1 o'clock appointment. Okay, it's going to take me 20 minutes to get there. Let's make it a listing appointment. I like those a little bit better. At 123 3rd Street. Boom. Okay, we got a 2-hour appointment. That's 3 o'clock, but it's going to take me 20 minutes to get back. Our next time slot is 3:20. Now, I've got a 4:30 appointment. Let's put 4:30 down here. And it's going to take me 15 minutes to get there. So let's do this. 4:30, and let's say this one's a showing appointment at 234 4th Street. I'm not very unique on my street naming abilities here. So at 3:20, what am I going to do? That's great time. That's the time most people are going to lose. Well, I know I want some follow-up time in the afternoon also. And I know if I've got that 4:30 showing and it's one showing, I'm going to get done at about 5 o'clock. By the time I get back, it's going to be about 5:15. That's probably what I'm going to want to do there. Right? I'm just going to come up here and literally copy this. Okay. So what do I do in here? This is 55 minutes. Now it's not Wednesday, so I'm not going to work on this. Can I create tomorrow's schedule? Yeah, I can do that. Okay, let's get that one done. Create schedule. Okay, but that ain't going to take me 55 minutes. So what else can I do? I schedule an interview. I've got YouTube interviews that I do, right? Oh, I bet I can do that. Request 3 interviews. Okay. So maybe creating a schedule took 15 minutes. Requesting 3 interviews took another 15 minutes. I still got 20 minutes. What else can I get done on this that might take 20 minutes? Ooh, read goals. I like that one. Read goals. So those things all combined, that's a pretty good investment of my 55 minutes. Create my schedule. I'm requesting 3 interviews for the future YouTube channel, and I'm reading my goals, which keeps me in touch with what it is I want to do. I'm not talking about these goals. I'm talking about the annual goals, the big goals, right? Some of those goals might not be on here because they're quarterly goals or something else like that. Okay, so now I'm getting done with that. I'm going to my appointment, and then right down here at 5:15, I'm following up because some people have gotten in touch with me. I have not reached out to them yet. I'm going to give myself 45 minutes to do that. And then at 6 o'clock, let's see if I've hit all my things here. Yep. Okay. Now I'm going to come down to, I'm just going to write rock number 1, and I'm going to explain it later. And then at 6:30, I'm going to go YouTube video on negotiations. It doesn't matter, right? And then that's a 15-minute video. So at 6:45, it's family/personal time. And then at 10:30, it's bedtime. Boom. So there's a day, right? So here are the 6 bullets I'm going to suggest anybody is going to want to add to their day. And I'll write it right over here so you can physically see it. We'll come down to right here. Okay. So number 1, prospecting. I think you have to have prospecting. I don't think it should be a 2-3 time a week thing. It should be an everyday thing, and it should be 1 to 3 hours. Okay. Again, if you're so busy you can't keep up with the business you've got, maybe it's an hour, hour and a half, something like that. But if you're brand new, or maybe you're doing 15, 20 deals a year or less, I think 3 hours makes a heck of a lot more sense. You're filling that funnel faster, and you're not going to have to do it forever. You've only got to do it until you got a full funnel. And now you're going to spend more time doing follow-ups, which are warm calls, than you are doing the cold calls or prospecting or whatever it is, right? So we got prospecting 1 to 3 hours. Now we've got follow-up. Calls or emails or texts or DMs, doesn't matter what it is. It's all this stuff, right? This should be 60 to 90 minutes. Okay. So your follow-up, I like to have follow-up. I'm sorry, I wrote this wrong. I saw the next one. Follow-up calls. So this is in your CRM. You should have follow-up. I use Follow-Up Boss, right? Maybe you've got KV Core. Maybe you've got Command if you're at Keller Williams. You've got Lion Desk. Whatever it is you have, in there, you should be setting with every single prospect a stage. That stage is probably going to have an action plan. That action plan allows you to forget about that lead because you've got a million of them. And when you need to reach back out to them because your action plan says that it dictates, you're going to see that task and you're going to reach out to that person. This is that time. This is your follow-up calls, okay? So this is not you reaching back out, as I incorrectly said, on today's emails, text, phone calls, DMs, right? So this, your follow-up calls is 60, 90 minutes. That's this part right here where I took 60 minutes, okay? Now you've got what I call reactive time. And I'm going to say 2 times 30 to 45 minutes. I like to call it reactive time. This is your, where is it? Right here, right? So this is your, again, emails, texts, phone calls, DMs, all that stuff. It's where people are dictating your time. If you call me and I haven't called you back, this is when I'm going to call you back. I like a little session in the morning. I like a little session in the afternoon. That way, regardless when you contact me, I'm probably going to be able to get back to you that day. I want to give great service, right? So I like calling it reactive time. because it allows you to focus on the fact that throughout the rest of the day, when you want to answer your phone because you see it lighten up and you see the dings, which you should shut off, and you hear the bzzz, which you should shut off, and you see it turn on the light, which you should turn it over so you can't see that. You want to react to all that stuff. We're trained to react to all that stuff. Turn it all off. Don't react to it. That way, when it pops up, you leave it alone and you stay focused on the task at hand, right? One of my favorite books, I think Gary Keller wrote it, The One Thing. It's about finding the thing that's most important that day if you want to succeed. And my gosh, if there's anything you do, it better be that one thing. And really the big takeaway for me is when you're in a task, be in the task. Forget everything else. Put a time somewhere else on your day to come back to that something else. And if there's not enough time for it, right? Then schedule time for it. So let's say I got 3 emails. One takes me 5 minutes, one takes me 7 minutes, and another one's probably going to take me 35 minutes. I can get the 5 minute and the 7 minute done in this reactive time. Too easy. The one that's going to take me, I forget what I said now, 35 minutes. I don't have time. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow, and I like printing this out. I like having a hard copy right next to me. I got it right next to me on my desk right now. I like to print it out in paper so I can write on it, hey, you've got this email. Do not forget about this email. Add it to your schedule tomorrow. If I don't have it in paper, I'm going to have to take a note. I don't like that particular system. If you like that system and it works for you, that's the big thing. Not do you like it, but does it actually work for you, right? They always say the best CRM is the one you use. Well, I would say the best time blocking is the system you use. So for me, I like paper so I can write it out and I can remind myself that I need to add it the next day. Okay. So you've got 2 reactive times. That means the rest of the day is proactive time. You own it, which is pretty dang awesome. Create tomorrow's schedule. Guys, if you got questions, comments, anything like that, I'll tell you right now, I'm not able to see it because I'm looking at the screen, but when I get out of here, we will certainly address anything you've got. 15 minutes. I don't need any more than 15 minutes, and honestly, it doesn't take me that long. It might take you that long in the beginning, but now it probably takes me 5 minutes. Rocks. We're going to get to rocks in just a second. But I think you should be spending 30 to 60 minutes on rocks a day. And then sharpening your skills. And I think for this, I like 3 to 5 hours per week. Okay. So sharpening your skills is literally this right here. YouTube video on negotiations. It's my attempt at watching something that I found, that I was told about, that I researched, whatever, and it's going to help me get better as a negotiator. Maybe I'm going to take a contracts class. Maybe I'm going to go to my brokerage and say, hey, what online training do we have? And I'm going to take that online training. Maybe it's an in-person training I'm going to go to. Maybe it's Agents Academy, right? And you've put that on your schedule for sharpening skills and improving. Whatever it is, I don't want to say it doesn't matter because it does matter, but just find something to sharpen your skills consistently and own it. Don't say my brokerage isn't giving me enough training. Maybe your brokerage does or does not give you enough training, but if they don't give you enough training, guess what? You are not an employee. You're a business owner, man. Go find your own training. Does that suck? Yeah. Would I want to be at that brokerage? That might be a reason I'd reconsider, but do not let that be the excuse that you are not sharpening your skills. You need to own sharpening your skills, period, right? So if you can enter all of these things and you can try to meet your goals up here and you can get your appointments in, that's a good day. Now you might look at this and say, Joe, you're up at 5:30. You're not quitting until roughly 13 hours later. And I work 6 days a week. 13 times 6 is 78. That's probably pretty accurate. That's probably about what I put in throughout the week. And I usually don't quit at 6:45. I usually go spend about an hour, hour and a half with my family, and then I come back and I keep working. But a lot would argue that this wake up workout hygiene, that's not work, right? That's you just kind of taking care of you. So this has to also match your desires to succeed. And I don't mean if you're not working 78 hours, you're not going to be successful. I mean, we all have different definitions of success. For me, the definition is how big can I be? That's it. Has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with anything. It has literally to do with me trying to reach my potential and constantly compete with yesterday Joe. That's it. It's just fun for me to compete with myself. That's it. So I want to push myself. I like it. For some of you guys, you got family, you want to spend all kinds of time with family, or maybe you're 62 and you're like, I want to sell a house a month. You don't want to work 78 hours a week. That's completely understandable. But then you got to change your goals. You got to be reasonable about it, and you own it. Now, if you say I'm only going to work 40 hours a week and you cannot fit all of this in there, you have to start taking off of something. But now you're making logical decisions, right? You're saying, I can't possibly do all of these things in the week. What do I do, Joe? You say, I need to start shaving some of these things off. I just cannot do it. If I get rid of prospecting, boom, the fuel out of my car goes away. But I don't have to get rid of it. If I'm only working 40 hours a week because I'm 62 years old, maybe instead of committing to 3 hours, I commit to 1. Follow-up calls. Well, I'll tell you right now, if you're only doing an hour of prospecting a day, your follow-up probably can be towards the lower end of this, 60 minutes. Reactive time. If you don't have as many clients and you're only closing one a month, your reactive time probably only needs to be 15 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, right? You can shorten it up a little bit. So realize these times, this is what I suggest for someone who's going all out. But if you're trying to hold back a little bit, if you've got a family you're focused on, if you're retired, whatever it is, you're going to want to change these, right? So just change them accordingly. So now let's come down to these bottom quadrants, okay? Now, I've got an operations manager, so I've actually got 2 little quadrants in the bottom left. But for me, it's a follow-up list. So these are things that I do not want to forget, right? I want to do a video with a guy named Scott Solari. And he's with a company called RealSync. And we had something scheduled and it fell apart. And I thought, man, I'm going to forget if I don't put it down. So I wrote it right here. And as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to reach out to him. I'm going to reschedule it. And boom, I've accomplished that task, right? Have you ever sent a contract to somebody? But if you're busy, maybe you've sent 12 contracts to different people because you got 12 buyers and you got 4 listings or whatever you've got, right? You're busy. You don't want to forget that you sent that and it's got a 48-hour expiration. So I'll put right down here, check on whatever offer. And maybe I'll even put no later than, today's the 4th, if I said 48 hours, no later than 11/6. Boom. That's easy. Now when I'm going through and I'm building my schedule up here in the top left, I'm looking at this. I know I want to get these things in here. And I can see what follow-up things I need to address. Okay, so it's really easy to make sure that I'm hitting every single thing I'm committing to. So this is just your follow-up list. If there's something you've already done the work on, but you want to make sure you don't forget to follow up just in case the person who now needs to action it forgets, this is where you do that. Doesn't it drive you nuts when you call a company, you say, hey, I'd like blah, 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 and they say, great. And then all of a sudden they completely forget and you forget and nothing happens. And then 6 months from now, you feel the pain from whatever it was because you didn't get that thing done. And you call them up and they're like, oh, you never reminded us. Well, why would I have to remind you, right? I'm a huge fan of Jocko Willink. He wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. Am I disappointed, frustrated, upset when a company does that to me? Yeah, man. But if I'm going to take extreme ownership, when I ask anybody to do anything until it gets done, boom, it's coming right up here on the follow-up list. That way I am owning the situation. If you forget, and amazing people forget, I'm going to make sure that I back it up and I follow up with you. Period. Done. Rocks is this bottom 4th one. Okay. So this is your long-term tasks, big tasks that you want to get done. I always like going back to 7 Effective, what's it called? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, right? And in there, it's got 4 quadrants. How important is it? And does it have a deadline? If it's really important and it has a deadline, you're going to get it done. If it's not important and it has a deadline, you're going to ignore it because it's not important. I don't care. If it's not important and it doesn't have a deadline, you're going to ignore it because you don't care. If it's really important, but there is no deadline, That's the stuff that a lot of times we're just not addressing, right? So this could be building a new listing presentation. That might take hours, right? The art, the marketing, the data pull, all that stuff. It might take hours if you're doing it yourself. That's a big project. Is it incredibly beneficial? Is it valuable? Yes. But is that something you might be able to get done in one day? Maybe, maybe not. I do listing boot camps every single quarter for my whole team. That takes hours to put together. And it's not just the boot camp. We got to get lunch coordinated. I got to get all the paperwork to hand out to them, right? The flyers, the marketing pieces. We got to communicate to them when it is. If there's any changes, we got to communicate more, right? I got to think through the timeline, the schedule, so I know I'm staying on it. There's a lot to it. It's going to take me more than one day. These are big things. So every quarter, I want to find 4 or 5 big things that I know I want to complete for my business. I'm going to put those things in order right down here. So I might have 15 rocks. I think I pulled rocks from a book called Traction. I can't remember. But rocks are big things you want to complete that are likely going to take a little bit more time. And now throughout the week, I'm saying, okay, I want to do ABC Rock. How do I fit a small chunk of that, the next step, the next 2 steps into my week? Do I have a little bit of great time? Today looks pretty booked. Well, no, that's not true. Right here, rock number 1. So right down here, I would number these rocks and I would come up and say, okay, rock number 1 is compile Tony Robbins notes. I got massive Tony Robbins notes from Dallas, right? We had a great little brokerage event out there with Tony Robbins. I think we had like 6,000 people. It was awesome. I love Tony Robbins, man. I'm getting me some Tony Robbins next week. But I had 13 pages of notes. And I need to go write all of those down, create rocks out of those. Some of these tasks are going to be for my staff. Some of these tasks are going to be for my agents on my team. Some of these tasks are going to be for me, but they're going to take a while. I need to break all that down. That's going to take a while. So that's a big task that I need to get done over time. So when I come over here to rock number 1 and I got a half an hour, am I completing that task? No, I'm not even going to come close. But I am going to take a step forward and I'm going to get a little bit closer. So again, that is my 4-box time blocking, my schedule, to make sure that I own my time proactively. It's mine. I own it. I'm going to be successful with it. And I think that it's really important for you, if you want to do anything and you want to be consistent with it, you absolutely need to time block your time. I'm reading through these comments now. Let's see what we've got. Let's go, Russ. I appreciate that, brother. Marinette's giving me fire. I love that. This is good stuff. Russ Lane. Yeah, I was just looking at that one. The book Traction that you, Joe Rosen, recommended to me helped me handpick weekly goals that I can simply track on a day-to-day basis. That's awesome. And that's pretty close to what I was talking about with those rocks right there, is just finding things that so many of us talk about. So many people have great ideas. I love Gary V's point. If you know Gary Vaynerchuk, man, he said, you're not going to get rich off ideas, right? People have amazing ideas all over the place. What's going to make you rich, what's going to make you successful, what's going to make you different is actually executing on them, right? So having that little rock section in the bottom right is where you can put those tasks that you know you want to do, those ideas, and it keeps slapping you in the face every single day. Hey, you didn't get it done. You didn't get it done. You didn't get it done. Eventually, you're going to get sick of yourself and you're going to say, fine, let me take a small step on this thing. Boom. Now you're taking some steps, baby. You've got action, execution. You're getting closer to finishing that rock. Is it this much out of this much? Yeah, but that's okay. Because if you do this much tomorrow and this much tomorrow and this much tomorrow, eventually it adds up to the whole task. And now you are getting ahead of everybody else who talks big but doesn't execute. You are the executor. All right, let's go down to Darius. One of the best time blocking videos I've seen, jam-packed with man, Darius, I appreciate that. I might have missed it at the start, but do you use Excel for this rather than a calendar app? So, Darius, I have a Google Calendar app on my phone, but a lot of those things that I was talking about, right, with the like prospecting is the same time for me every single day. Follow-up is usually the same time, but I will take an appointment over follow-up as long as I got somewhere else I can put follow-up in the rest of my day. YouTube videos, Facebook videos, I'm not putting those on my schedule. because I want to make sure you got to remember too, I could get all of this done in a day. I could get all my Facebook, all my YouTube, all my Instagram. If I just spent 6 hours on a Monday and I went to some, Hootsuite or Canva and I timed them all out throughout the week, I could literally get them all done in a day. So I don't need to do it all in a day. So I will put important appointments wherever. So what I'm doing is on my calendar, I'm putting the important appointments. So when I come in, I'm going to enter all the appointments and then I'm going to fill it in with all those fillers I was just talking about. So yes, I do use a calendar, but I don't walk around with just that calendar. Now you could literally, I like the Excel spreadsheet again, because I want a piece of paper I can write on when I have a last minute issue. Maybe I gave myself 45 minutes to do something with rock number 1, but I know it's too much time or it's not enough time. Or maybe I run into my builder. My builder's like, hey, I'd like you to make a video on 123 3rd Street. Can you get that done? Yeah. I don't want to forget. I'm going to write it down on my piece of paper and I'm going to keep moving. Now, could you open up your Google Calendar and just put it right on there? Sure. But I don't want to look for the most appropriate time, efficient time in the moment. I want to fly through my day. So I'm just going to write it down. At the end of the day, when I got create tomorrow's schedule on my time block, that's when I'm going to come in and I'm going to do that. But that's a personal preference. Don't let that slow you down. If you like to just use your Google Calendar, go nuts, man. Not a problem at all. Catalina, great training, Joe. I appreciate it. Guys, we're going to talk about this for a couple more minutes. I'd like to bring Alex Haig back in right now, see what he thinks, see if there's anything that he does a little bit differently. Maybe he pulled away that was positive. Maybe he'd have a little critique on something we could do and we could improve on this. And also, for the next few minutes, if you guys have any questions, comments, anything else, please let me know. Monique, man, that's a heck of a comment. Organization and systems are key to success. If you cannot handle a few things on your calendar each day, how would you manage when you are closing 15 plus deals a month? Great point. And who doesn't want to close 15 deals a month? And if you want to close 15 deals a month, do what somebody who closes 15 months does, i.e. time block, and you'll find yourself progressing towards that goal, right? If you don't do the things, you're not going to get to the result. So I think that's a great point, Monique. The sooner you implement and stick to a system, the easier it is when your business starts to go boom, 100%. Having managed upward of 100 files a month, a calendar with tasks is crucial to starting each day. If you guys don't know who Monique is on the Treasure Coast, you're probably the only one. She is one of the best transaction coordinators you'll ever meet. She is incredibly intelligent. She's sharp. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's great to work with. She's professional. And I don't know if I can say anything better about Monique. But if there's somebody who absolutely knows how not just to schedule her time, but how to have systems and organization, it's absolutely Monique. So I appreciate that. Guys, I'll tell you this too while we're waiting for Alex to pop in here. If you guys want that basic, simple thing I just showed you, all you've got to do is go find me and send me your email address, right? If you're on YouTube, put a comment on here with your email address. I'll send it to you. If you're on Facebook, put a comment with your email address or DM me your email address and we'll send it to you. But really, again, top right is your schedule. Top left is your schedule. Top right are the goals. Bottom left is your follow-up, right? So you never forget anything like that. And the bottom right is your rocks. These are the important things that absolutely are going to deliver value to you, but maybe don't have a timeline. And that lack of timeline allows most people to just keep procrastinating, keep pushing to the right. Don't allow yourself to do that. Make yourself focus on those rocks, break it down into smaller tasks and get those tasks done, right? So that's the big point there. So again, if you guys want that, you just let me know and we will absolutely get that out to you. So that's it. I don't see any. Oh, we got one more comment here. Printing. This is Eric Rosberg, phenomenal lender. Printing and having a hard copy of my daily calendar was a game changer for me. Me too, man. I know a lot of people don't like it, but for me, I like to write and move. For me, it's the fastest. Having it on my desk physically in front of me, I agree. Because as soon as you set your phone down, what happens? It goes black. It's off. You don't see it. That piece of paper is not going black. It's staying right there. It holds me accountable and allows me to honor the time blocks. That's exactly right. I'll tell you something else that really helps with time blocking. When I go and I have a lunch with Eric Rosberg, it's really easy to say, hey, Eric, I really appreciate you taking me out to lunch. It's 12 o'clock right now. I've got it on my calendar that we got lunch until 1 o'clock. If it's okay, I'm going to set a little alarm right now for 12:55. And then when this alarm goes off, I'm going to start shaking your hand, thanking you for lunch, and we'll get out of here. Is that okay? That'll allow me to kind of lose myself in the conversation, yet not fall apart on my schedule. I can't tell you how many people say, yeah, that's awesome. What is that? And I'll repeat it again, and they'll say, that is so helpful. I should be doing that. And I'll say, you should be doing that. Do it. I want to give you the hour. I want to give you the love, the attention. I do want to pay attention to you, but I also want to respect whatever's next on my calendar, right? So to do that, I've got the alarm. Alex, what are your thoughts, my man?
My thoughts are awesome. I resisted a lot of this for a while. I think so much of it is, it's uncomfortable. And I like what you said in there. There's like, I know. And if more we have awareness, so I talk about this a lot, the more you can have awareness of you go like, oh, I feel like I'm getting, or I think I'm getting put in jail. I think a lot of us get into real estate because we want to have more freedom. Well, guess what? The more you run your life by your calendar, actually, the more freedom you're going to have. The more you're actually going to be able to honor the time that you're with somebody. I love that you just brought that up about Eric, like, hey, I'm here with you right now. Guess what? Now you can put the phone away. You can say, It also shows, hey, I do have, like, I've set this time aside for you. You're special. And there's other people that are special. There's other things, in my life. So, and I think that what that does as well is it establishes you as a professional. It doesn't establish you as somebody like, yeah, maybe I can go out for lunch for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. Those people that are going out to lunch for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours are the people I could tell you for the most part are not. They don't have a consistency of business because they don't have a consistency of effort. They don't have a system. They're not something. They don't run their life like a business. I don't want to say it like that. You know what I mean? But you even have your family time in there. So guess what? You honor your family time.
Yes, it's important,
right? And furthermore, some of the things that we do now is, we're setting aside time now so that you will have that freedom in the future, because to Joe's point in the beginning, you're going to have more money in the bank, which is more freedom, which is more choice, right? Yeah. Money is energy traded later on. You'll have more choice with that. So, you're going to have that time where you're going to be able to go to the beach and, but you can time block the beach too. So there's just so many nuggets in there, man. I just top notch. So Lizette, I'm one of those people with kids, and I love this flexible enough to work around all that. Absolutely. Yeah. Like it's not, so it's, I always kind of say, like, had a conversation with somebody this morning around golf, and golf's a game of opposites. So the more, if you're hitting it right, a lot of people aim further left. But the more you aim further left, the more you cut it, the more you go off. It's the same thing with this, right? It's the same thing with this. Like, you actually are creating more freedom. You're going to actually have more time by, really honoring space and time for what you're doing. So I love it, man.
And I like that you talked about freedom a little bit there, because I think when a lot of people hear time blocking, they think, oh, there goes that freedom I really was attracted to when I wanted to get into real estate. But really, I mean, look at anybody with a budget. Anybody with a budget is setting aside small increments of money every single paycheck. And after 5-10 years, they've got 6 figures in the bank. And eventually it's going to get to 7 figures, maybe 8 figures. And you get that freedom by putting yourself on a budget. This is another budget. It's just a time budget. Do you have freedom today because of it? It's not going to feel like it, although you do, right? Because you can see I put family time in there and everything else. But over time, it's what's going to build something for you, a business, financials, whatever it is. So you're going to create that freedom eventually. And I think that just that word right there is so important to focus on.
Yeah. Love it, man. Awesome. Well, let's get into the next part here, because we can sometimes, go a little bit over on this again, because I know your time block. You will sometimes see Joe just at 1 o'clock. He's out. He's gone. He's done, because he really honors that space. And so we want to honor it here right now. So we're going to get into the next part of the presentation here, which is, what Joe and I are in alignment with here. And we have a lot of people in the Treasure Coast that we're in alignment within EXP. We'd love to show you guys kind of like, and this is also Joe and I's alignment has brought about the accountability, where he has accountability to this, and he would have never kind of had an accountability partner, or would have been tougher. We rely on each other for a lot of different things, and that's a lot in part to do with the model. So Candace, if we could move the screen here to the share, and we'll get the slides up here. And Candace is ready.
I need you to share your screen first, please. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, no worries. There we go. I can do
The
that.
wizard.
I don't even need a reason. Awesome. All right. So eXp Realty, that's what Joe and I are aligned in with here. Really quickly, running through this, we're going to show you why eXp is different. So different than other companies, the way that typically other companies, and again, this is a franchise model, whether it's Remax, Keller, Berkshire Hathaway, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, those are all international real estate companies. And again, furthermore, this is the way that franchises work, whether it's Big McDonald's, Subway, Blockbuster Video, so forth, worked. So they start off with an international, okay? The international is split off into regions. Like, the region could be, I always say that region could be New England because I'm from there. The territories could be each of the states, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, right? Those are the different territories. Those are sold off. So this first international starts off with that idea and a system. They sell it to somebody that buys that idea and that system. Then that person sells off that idea and that system into territories. Now, this is where it starts getting locked up into where these are people these are more entrepreneurs that are investors for the most part. Remember Robert Kiyosaki's 4 quadrants? Investor quadrant is where you invest in something and money makes money for you. It's the mailbox money. It's the sleeping money. It's, what all the books tell you about with passive income and so forth. You do have to put energy into it, but, really it's an investment. So the franchise owners are the ones that take the biggest risk because they're the ones that have to go out and get brick and mortar. They got to get, a secretary, receptionist, cleaner, electricity, water, so forth, right? So those are all the expenses, right? You have an ice cream shop, you've got to pay a lease, or you got to own the building, or so forth, right? You got to have a manager in there. You got to have your accounting system. All these kind of things are expenses. Those franchise owners are the ones that take the biggest risk because they're the ones putting out the hard cash. When you buy a region, you might buy it for $250,000, but you don't necessarily have to put more into that. When you're a franchise owner, you buy that franchise, and then you're going to have every single month cost. If you don't have revenue coming in, you're going to have loss. So those are expenses, which are the managers, the staff, the brick and mortar, so forth. In our particular case here, we're talking about real estate. So they have to go out and recruit what? Agents. Agents are going to go make money, commissions that are going to get paid for the managers and the staff, all the expenses for those franchise owners. Franchise owners are going to get paid. Territory owner is going to get paid as well. Now, pay attention to this because later on, we're going to show you that all of these people are getting paid, or, the expenses are getting paid for. Hopefully the franchise owner is making money. A lot of these franchise owners aren't making money anymore, but that's a different story. The territory owner is getting paid. This is a pretty good gig. Once this thing gets rolling, you're getting paid no matter what. Regional owner getting paid no matter what. The international, they're getting paid no matter what, and depending on how they set it up and how strong that franchise opportunity continues to be for them. So what eXp Realty did, or eXp, which is now an international brokerage, did was they put the agents on top. They made the agents the owners. So in this over here, these were the owners. The agents, there's no ownership. Franchise owner, territory owner, region owner, okay? So what eXp did was they made the agents owners. There is no region. There is no territory. There are no franchise owners. So all of this money is now created and brought back to the agents as through ownership in a couple of different ways. Now, how do they service the agents? Now you say, "Oh, Alex, so well, great, you can have this eXp Realty." We got some hot mic in the background there. You might want to turn your mic off, Joe. the way that we do it is that this disruptive technology called Verbella, which you guys have probably heard about the cloud. Now what we could do is we could start talking about the metaverse. This is a big thing out there. Facebook just created a whole division that is the metaverse. What is the metaverse? The metaverse is an online world, which EXP calls it the world. It's an online world that you go in with your avatar, and you know, in the metaverse is like you could be in Fortnite, you know, dancing or playing a game or whatever. You could trade things in the metaverse. Well, what EXP did was so that there is no brick and mortar. There is no territories, because remember, the metaverse is all online. The metaverse is here. The metaverse is not brick and mortar. So EXP, our brilliant Glenn Sanford, the founder of the company, came up with an online world in 2009. Now we're talking about the metaverse. Now the people are like, what is the metaverse? Well, this guy came up with this before it was like YouTube came out in 2006. The iPhone came out in 2009. We're talking about the metaverse now, NFTs, crypto, all that kind of stuff. That is what is here, but he saw it well before. Similar to what Netflix did with technology, you got to have a disruptive technology to disrupt a very age-old way of doing something. Everybody used to go to Blockbuster, drive down to the store, they'd pick out the video, they'd go up to the counter, they'd get the video, they would leave, they'd bring it home, they'd consume that content, and then they would wait a couple days and get late fees for not bringing it in. We're not going to drive in. It's just another $2. It's just another $2. It's just another $2, right? Well, we want to get, Dad, we want a new movie. Well, what Netflix did was like, hey, no worries, Avo, about driving down to the store. That just saved you 20 minutes, half an hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know what it is, but it just saved you 10 minutes going both ways. There's 20 minutes, saved you 10 minutes in the store. There's another, right? You can actually move through, and this is when they sent you the videos. You could move through and see the catalog of things so much faster. What was the new release? It was saving you time. It gave you time back, right? Joe was talking about time blocking, most valuable commodity we have in the world, right? My dad just got ill, right? He would really like more time on this planet. Everybody wants more time on the planet. So that's what part of what Blockbuster, why they missed, because they didn't understand. John Aniotto, the CEO of Blockbuster, didn't really understand what this new technology was going to do to that brick and mortar. Same thing as what Uber did to Yellow Cab, right? Like a Yellow Cab, and a lot of people didn't realize this was a franchise. That actual cab itself was a franchise. It would be like a Dunkin' Donuts, a moving Dunkin' Donuts. Yellow Cab would drive calls to that cab, and then you would get paid for the fares. You paid for the Yellow Cab. In New York City, there was $750,000, upwards of $1 million for a Yellow Cab. Now, Uber comes in, you slap a locator in the car with disruptive tech, so now they can see where the car is going. They give it to the consumer on their phone. They can see where you can see where the Uber is. You can see exactly what the fare will be, so there's no getting ripped off anymore. There's no the cab going this way or that way and screwing you around. Like, no, you know what the fare is going to be. So it disrupts Yellow Cab, bankrupt. Netflix, disruptive technology, bankrupts Blockbuster, right? So you can see how powerful that technology what it can do. And why do you think Facebook is going to the metaverse? Because I play Roblox with my daughter online. It's a little mini metaverse. That's the way that this new generation is going to. They're going to online. Their experience is that online metaverse world. Joe and I, we're a little bit older. Like, I got some gray hair. Like, was I resistant to the technology? Yeah. But now I'm like, I go in and they do it. Just like, StreamYard. Joe remembers, 6 months ago, I'd be freaking out about StreamYard. Nothing now, right? Zoom, nothing now. Even I can't quite do Candace's breakout rooms yet. I'm getting there. But, like, we get there. We get better with these things that we're a little uncomfortable with at first. But then it's like, yeah, I'll order an Uber. But, 4 years ago, you'd be like, I don't want to get in this guy's name is, Washibi. Like, I don't want to get into that cat. I don't know that person. I don't want to send my kid with that. But now people are sending their kid to school in Ubers because they know how safe it is. It's actually safer than driving on your own sometimes. So that's the way the whole thing's going. And now I think that this becomes so much more relevant, right? It's not this weird thing anymore. It's kind of like the mainstream thing now, right? What else did we do? Well, we created ownership. Remember back to that ownership thing with the territory owner, the regional owner, and so forth? Well, I used to be with Keller Williams. I was with a small mom and pops. I didn't get any ownership in anything. They owned it. I tried to get a franchise so I'd own something, but then I realized I didn't own anything. That was another thing. But I wasn't getting stock in anything that I owned. Back to Joe's thing. How about putting a little money away? Especially you real estate agents out there. Like, you're really good at not paying taxes and you're really good at not saving money because, you're not thinking ahead of, like, you don't see too many retirement parties for realtors. In fact, I see a lot of realtors in the board that are like, older, and that's fine. But I don't think all of them necessarily want to be there. They're there because they have to be, because they didn't put money away. They didn't buy some real estate. They didn't buy some Tesla, whatever. They didn't buy Starbucks that they go to every day and drink the Starbucks. They didn't buy the stock. So you got to be buying some equity. You got to be own something so that in, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, either you're going to sell it or me, I'm going to be giving it to my daughter. Like, right. But if I hit hard times, which I'm past that in a lot of different ways, but like, why not as an individual agent that you couldn't go and start something that you would actually own something? Well, EXP solved that. EXPI stock. Now, EXP owns this technology called Verbella. It's proprietary. Like that. You think now that owning something that's proprietary metaverse technology is valuable? Facebook is now trying to get in on this and get this done. This company is so far ahead of that. And when I first got in the metaverse, the world was like these blockheads and it was kind of like clunky to move around. It's so much less frictionless. It's so much more seamless now. Now, pretty soon, watch this. Mark my words, Joe. There's a company out there called Hero Token. I'm way into crypto and stuff. That actually, you get inside this dome and it takes photos of you from like every single angle. And now we'll create your avatar, all proportional to your body. Watch this, bro. In a year or 2, 3, and maybe I'm going off to EXPCon next week. I bet you there's going to be something like that's going to be the next thing where you get to actually be you. There is right? Your face goes, you can see it though, right? It's coming, right? It's like, I never thought about it, but yeah, that's coming. Of course it's coming. That's not that much of a reach, right? So, but back to the stock. So we own this technology, this proprietary. It's not a technology that only is used by one company. It's used by Joe's beloved Army. It's used by Stanford University. It's used by multinationals that can work in this metaverse to use this, whether it's, selling plastic or selling widgets or having a board meeting for Berkshire Hathaway. You know what I mean? Like during COVID, we still had EXPCon. We still had our shareholders meeting because we had a metaverse. We didn't do it all like Tony Robbins' big giant Zoom thing. We actually had a world that we could go in, and God forbid that we have another pandemic, but we can do that. We weren't, going, how do we have our office meetings with, when it's mega camp or something? Like, how do you do that? Right? So really, really important to understand that. And so not only does EXP own EXP Realty, they own Verbella, but we also bought Success Magazine. Darren Hardy, who wrote The Compound Effect, is a very world-renowned author, and talk about a guy who time blocks. Talk about it's a guy that talks about Big Why. He sold Success Magazine and all of Jim Rohn's content. We now are a personal development company as well, just like Facebook bought Instagram, right? Tesla has bought other battery companies and so forth. EXP is buying other technologies and companies to be something bigger than a real estate company. Now you own something that's bigger than a real estate company. You think that might be valuable? Maybe. I would think so. So what EXP also did to create ownership and create a passive income stream opportunity is they created revenue share. So in one of the other models out there is profit share. Now, I was with that other company that had profit share. Revenue share is different because revenue's at the top and profit's at the bottom. You get profit after you go through expenses, right? So once you get through and hopefully there's a profit, then the market center would give to the agents 35% of that profit and divide it up depending on who brought who in and so forth. But if there's no profit, there's no check. Well, EXP, because remember, all of those millions of dollars, all of those millions of dollars that's going to these people, EXP has that left over because there isn't any of that. EXP goes, okay, because we don't have territory franchise, we don't have all that, we're going to give that revenue back to the agents to grow the company. So you say to yourself, geez, when I joined the company 3 years ago, we were at 7,500 agents. We just got to 75,000. No other company is growing at that rate because they don't have disruptive tech. They aren't something that disrupts an existing. You don't grow by that much. And trust me, real estate agents don't like to move. They don't like change. It's a very, very slow industry to move. Last couple of years, because of technology, some things have been changing, but it's a very slow industry to change and move, right? But now when you create a passive income opportunity, which again, Gary Keller's book was, there's some passive income stuff in there. The Really Real Estate Agent, great book, guys. Great book. Read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. But, there's another chapter, which is like the New Testament. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent would be the Bible. But EXP wrote the New Testament where there's, the 10 commandments are super valid. Like, definitely. Don't covet thy neighbor. Like, don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. Yeah. But there's more stuff that comes as things move on and people learn more, progression and so forth. So rev share is a really, really big deal. Now, I've created a massive, great rev share. Joe has as well. It's not something you have to do, right? It's an opportunity. Now, there's other things that come with EXP that you could just say, hey, I love the stock, right? Or I just, I realize that because it's not a franchise, I can go out and get rev share. I can get some of that money that franchise owner would get. That I can get some of that money that the territory owner would get. I can get some of that money that the regional owner would get. And guess what? I can get some of that money that royalty that goes up to the top, can come back to the agents. That's how the company grew so much, because it grew from the bottom up, not from the top down. Really. How do you think Uber grew? Grassroots. Uber grew from the bottom up. Right? And each agent helps because they love the company so much and they want the company to grow, and they're compensated. Their behavior is compensated for helping and showing people how the model works. It's really that simple, guys. Once you understand that, it's like, boom, light bulb goes off, right? So, well, what other stuff do we have other than this cloud and this rev share and this stock? Well, hey, we got KV Core, world-class CRM. Joe and I have done a lot of these on Agents Academy. A world-class CRM that you can drive traffic into, very robust. We're only $85 a month. Guess what? Come on over. If you don't like it, leave. You don't have to go and spend $100, $150, $200,000 on some franchise. You don't have to go be a broker and go and open an office and do all that and realize all the headache and talk about friction and actually marginal money. These brokers that are out there that have the 100% company, they're not making that much money, guys. They're really not. I've looked at the books before. They're not making that much money, and some of them aren't making money. And the agents that are there, what opportunity is there? There really isn't. And actually, when you look at it, because we go, 100%, it's like, actually, if you looked at all of the transaction fees that you pay to the company, it's probably pretty darn close to the $16,000 cap that EXP has. Now, we have our own website. We can make it rain in there. You can get pay-per-click. So making it rain basically means you can have pay-per-click move leads into your KV Core website. We're at 80-20 split, very competitive. There's no deals that are cut. There's no, hey, you're a mega agent, so you get 100% for 6 months. No, it's a publicly traded company. You're a new agent, you're 80-20. You're a mega agent, you're 80-20. You're on a $16,000 cap. How about fair? That's market. That's a fair market. Everybody starts at the beginning of this. When the gun goes off, well, you're there. The gun goes off to someone else, you're there. You don't get an ahead. You don't get an advantage over anybody. You get the same opportunity with the same tools, the same chance to come to Joe and I and say, hey, can you coach me? Can you help me? What am I doing? How can I? I want to help you sell more houses. Because I don't get paid. Joe and I don't get paid for people coming into EXP. We don't get a piece of that $85 even. We only get paid when you sell houses. So we want to help you sell more houses. That's a really cool thing. So once you do it at 80/20, once that 20% goes to the 16,000, you're at 100%. Now, there also are teams. So you team leaders out there, this is really big. So now, or a brokerage, if you have, 20, 30, 40 agents, you're starting to lose people. Well, what about if you would be able to go to those 20 or 30 agents before you lose them to a company like this or a Keller or whatever, or a 100% company? You go, hey, how would you like to partner with me? How would you like to actually own something with me and we can build this together rather than I'm the broker, you're every commission, and that agent's going, man, I got a name here. I don't like have a lot other than a name and a weekly meeting and a Christmas party that they actually charge me $30 to come to. Like, what do I got here? You know what I mean? Like, they're going to start asking those questions more and more and more. And I've already seen it. I've seen some of the brokerages in our area losing people because retention's a big deal. If you don't look, you could have the best culture, you can treat people awesome, but if there's a better opportunity where they can have something more for their families, you can have all the best culture in the world. You know what I mean? This is a business, and if people can feed their families with more and have more certainty, and to Joe's point, have more money for the long run and be building something, you're gonna lose them. That's just my honest opinion. So EXP is now an international brand. When I came in, we were in 4 countries. Look at all these countries that we are in now. We just went into Japan, just went into Hong Kong. Our beloved Brian Pruitt was on the front line and got us into Panama. So I actually have people in my organization that are in Panama. We're talking to people in Costa Rica, Colombia. It's absolutely amazing. And this is how, look, Hilton didn't grow as fast as Airbnb. Why? Because Airbnb was so much more nimble. Airbnb was a technology-based company that solved a problem for people that wanted to have lodging. It solved the problem. Same thing with Uber, solved the problem, right? So, I just can't say enough about it. I would love to get Joe's take on this thing. That's the last thing. Give me a little bit about what you think about EXP, Joe, and how it's helped you.
I mean, there's so many facets to what would attract you here, right? And I know you and I have talked to so many agents. Some of them are attracted to the 80-20 split. Some of them like the really low caps. If you're a team leader, right? Or if you are a broker and you're thinking, I'm not excited. And I know there are local brokers who have some of these franchises you're talking about, and they're saying, man, it's expensive. And now that we have to compete against companies like this with low splits, high splits, low caps, we're just having an even more challenging time. If you're in that position, it's incredibly alluring because I'll tell you right now, one of the sexiest things for me as a team leader when it comes to trying to attract other agents is if you come on, I can offer you an $8,000 cap because I'm a team leader. If you hit, I think it's 175 transactions or, so for your mega teams, you can offer a $4,000 cap to your agents. Do you know how good looking that is as a team leader to be able to offer that to people? So as a team leader, as a broker, I'd be thinking EXP immediately because my costs are virtually zero. I get rid of all those costs and I'm able to offer that incredibly low cap, which is crazy. And yes, the stock is fun. And I'm telling you, nobody truly, in my opinion, including myself, knows all the stock that you're getting until you get in and you just start seeing it rack up. And I've had agents forget about it. And I say, let me go show you. And they're like, I have thousands of dollars in here. I've only been here for a few months. What's going on? It's like you're slowly building this up. Like it's a slow build, right? So how many 60, 65-year-old agents do you and I know who are making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year? Whatever they're making, they've got a strong income. They're happy. And I can't tell you how many of them have told me privately, Joe, I'm so scared because the day my hip breaks or I get dementia or I just don't want to work anymore or my husband's done and I want to be done because I want to be with my husband. How am I going to do that? Because the day I quit selling is the day my income goes away. And in this business, you own your own business. You're not an employee. You're a business owner. If you don't have stock set up, if you're not an employee getting a 401k, My gosh, I hope you're not depending on Social Security. Number one, will it be there? Number two, if it is there, well, there's your $1,500 a month. Enjoy, right? So you really want to have something set up. When you've got revenue share and stock and income, it's just, there's nothing like it. So for me, it really was a game changer. And I'll tell you, and I say this every single time, the big thing for me was knowing that a guy like Alex and a guy like Carlos and a guy like Jay Kinder, high caliber people who absolutely could help me, were incentivized monetarily to see it. I see a lot of people out of, in my perception, comfort. They'll go to a brokerage because my buddy Bob works there, or my good friend from high school works there. And that's super cool. Except, is that person, number one, successful, and number two, willing to give you the time and to open up the curtain so you can see behind the scenes, so you can be successful just like them and you can do it faster. I mean, I've said to Alex many times, I would be where I am if I went anywhere else, but instead of being there in 2 years, it would have taken me 5 years. So I just sped up the curve by putting Alex and Carlos and Jay in front of me, and that has nothing to do with revenue share or stock or splits or anything. It has to do with the financial incentives that you guys all have to see me succeed. I want you to have that financial incentive because I want to be comfortable asking you for your time. We just had an agent the other day that said, hey, I had to reach out to Alex. You hadn't met him yet. And he said, hey, I had to reach out to Alex because I was down in Stewart, but I office out of Fort Pierce. I had to make my calls for the day. I reached out to him. Is that okay? I wanted to stop by his office and make calls. I said, not only is it okay, but Alex owes you that. He owes me. I owe you. We all owe each other in this organization because we have a financial incentive. We want to see you grow. So I can promise you, Alex was excited when he saw your commitment to making your calls and you walked through the door and asked for a little space for an hour or two. Absolutely, he'll do that. And that mentality has changed the entire culture. That's why you see guys like Kyle Whistle and Veronica Figueroa and Jay Kinder coming on here and sharing all the magnificent things that they have going on in their own business with us. It's just a culture of giving. And I think that's phenomenal. That's where I want to be.
Couldn't put it any better, man. You know, I think, as I was going through this, it's very poignant. Like, we were talking to some people in Panama yesterday, and talking about how we can help them grow. At the end of the day, we want to have conversations with you. And I remember the first time I talked to Jay Kinder, and he was like, where are you and where do you want to go? It wasn't anything other than, how can I help you go where you want to go? What are the tools because he's got a lot of tools. And he was like, which tool, where do you want to go? Look, what's important to you? So I had a conversation with somebody, an agent this morning. Most of the conversation, honestly, it was about probably 80% of the conversation was just about, family and structuring like a mindset around, some things that I saw that person was going through. It was great to get to know that person more, but also I enjoy, because I've been working on myself, right, in a lot of different ways. And I was able to impart some of that, and we didn't talk about leads. We didn't talk about anything. We were talking about I genuinely want to help you grow if you want to grow.
Yes.
And again, Joe, you saying stocks aside, rev share aside, CRM aside, it might just be you need a morning accountability person. I had somebody come into my downline who's like, we have a gym thing in the morning that we meet in the gym and we talk in the sauna. It's almost like each day we talk about different things, because I want to help that person grow. And that's, what I'm starting to even more layers peel back on what that opens up. Because some people just don't care about a lot of the things that people think that are the only things with EXP. It's just, how can I help you grow? And because I'm compensated for that. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. And we should be compensated for our time. The cool thing is, too, it doesn't come out of that agent's pocket. He's not paying me as a coach. Yeah. We got Django and John, and they're like, hey, and George is talking about, hey, you'll personally coach me. I'm like, yeah, kind of like we met somebody the other day, Joe. Yeah, I'll meet with you if it's a productive conversation.
Yes.
And then, afterwards you're going to go and you're going to implement, because I'm not going to sit here and, and just talk for the sake of talking.
Yep.
Like, if you really want to grow and you really want to do the work afterwards, because that's what you got to do as when you're getting coached, you got to go after and do the stuff. Right. So, and you want to be held accountable into that. Joe and I hold each other accountable for different things. I need to be held accountable for things too. So
we all do. Yep.
Cool. Well, we're at 1:00. We want to honor everyone's time, Joe. Maybe you want to stick on here for a second, because I think we got some things to talk about just with the other events and so forth. But I appreciate it, man. Thanks. I think we got some great comments, and I think you delivered massive value, and hopefully we did. And that's what we want to do. Just keep bringing valuable content to our community.
I appreciate it. It was a fun one. I like this stuff.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. All right. We're going to end the broadcast. Thanks, guys.